Hi folks, Don Cooper with the Vancouver Abolitionist Society. I made a video earlier while I was out at the Planned Parenthood, and sadly when I came back here to process it, I broke the SD card that it was on, and it's kind of funny because it seems like some of my best videos I lose the file or I break a card. So it's a bummer. It was a 64 gigabyte card, but I thought it was worth it though to try and sort of recreate it. And that is, I wanted to share a quick thought about staying in the fight. And often I find myself getting discouraged or frustrated, feeling lack of joy, and realizing that I'm forgetting some fundamental things, and the primary one being that to abide in Christ, to keep my eyes on Him, and that we're called to be faithful. There's always these, I sort of call bread and butter things that, you know, being a Christian is hard in one sense, but it's also very easy in another. Following Christ, you know, Jesus said that for those who are heavy laden and burdened to come to Him, because He relieves you. That He says, my yoke is easy. And but at the same time, Christ also said that if anyone would come after Him, let him take up his cross and deny himself and follow Him. And so I think that sometimes I maybe forget the one and focus on the other too much, and the cross becomes too heavy, and I'm taking on things I shouldn't. My point though here is I wanted to just encourage all the abolitionists to press into Christ, to abide in Him, to keep your eyes on Him, and that even in the little things, the basic things that you go out and do, God can and will use those for big things, and that God can save by many or by few. And it seems to me that historically and biblically He seems to want to save by few. That there's usually a remnant. It's a small portion of His people who are faithful. It's kind of sad, but kind of amazing too. You know, we could go throughout the Old Testament and see this with people like, you know, Moses or Joshua or King David, the prophets. So we are to be faithful like them and to go into battle like them, and that's what we need to do. And so one of the things though that I wanted to sort of draw an analogy is that in fighting, a boxer or a martial arts fighter, an important thing is to keep his jab going, just to keep moving, stay in the fight, keep the jab going. The jab is just that, is just a real basic move that doesn't even seem like, in some cases, to the layman would say that, well, that's not going to do anything. But the jab is so important. It sets up a bigger punch. It sets up a takedown. It creates those opportunities, and it can also do a lot of damage. But I draw this physical analogy to make the point in the spiritual that for us to just stay with the basics, stay moving, stay faithful to God, stay in the fight, and not to be discouraged. Because the greatest fights, in my opinion, are the ones where I see the fighter looks like he's surely lost. He is pummeled, he's been hit over and over really hard. He's even been dropped to the canvas, but he gets back up and he stays in the fight. And he gets that jab going, he gets his chin down, he stays in the face of the enemy. We stay in the face of the enemy by staying close to our shepherd, by staying close to Christ. And that's the thing I need to remember. And that when we just are faithful with what God has put before us. The other thing along with this is that I know that probably some of the abolitionists feel alone. I actually often feel very much alone, often. And I know that God's always with me, Christ is with me, but I feel alone, and that when I take my eyes off Christ, I feel even more alone, I guess, and then it starts to become sort of futile or frustrating in what I'm doing. But you're not alone. You're not alone. That God is with you. I mean, what more is, which should suffice? How He is sufficient. Even if there were no other people around us, no other abolitionists around us, He is sufficient, and He will give you what you need where you're at. And I'm not saying that it's not a good thing to have other abolitionists, like many abolitionists around you. In fact, that's what I would like to see. Although as I mentioned earlier, I think that often it seems like God does big things with a few people, and the path is narrow, and there's few who find it. So there's these things that, I'm not so sure that there will ever be lots of abolitionists. But that aside, I'm still trying to encourage and call people, just because it's the right thing for us to oppose evil, to come against evil with the gospel, and to be an abolitionist in this day and age. It means we're opposing the evils of our age. The primary glaring evil is the legalization of the slaughter of innocent, defenseless babies in the womb. So we need to just know that it's God who goes before us in this battle, and to just stay close to Him. Just keep moving, stay in the fight, keep that jab going, and just abide in Him. So thanks for listening, and stay out there and keep up the fight.